Today we're going to try some foods together that maybe don't sound like they go together, but science says they should, so let's see if they're right. Hi, I'm Val. I made the website Very Vegan Val, and I love expressing joy through vegan food. Now today we're going to be trying some ingredients that science said should be a good match based on compound compatibility. Basically, ingredients that have more flavor compounds in common, in theory, should go together well. Now this isn't the only science behind flavor pairing. There's other theories that contrasting flavors go really well together, or that certain compounds enhance the flavor profiles of other compounds. And every ingredient we use has just so many different flavor compounds in them that tweaking out exactly what we're looking for is hard to do. But today we're going to be using compound compatibility, and we're going to see if these unusual pairings really do taste good. So to find my pairings, I'm using a database called Flavor DB2. This is Flavor DB2, and they have a lot of information here, most of which means nothing to me. They have this flavor network, which is a very good way to visualize things. Maybe, I don't know, I found it confusing actually. This is how I used it. I go to search, ingredients, and entities, put in the one you want. We're gonna look for onions. And then we can pick from the list and then hit pair it. And here you can see the most common ingredients. Now, garlic has a lot in common with onion, not surprisingly, 120 shared flavor molecules, but cocoa also has 120 shared flavor molecules. And that one sounds a little more interesting to me. Let's go with that. Onion and chocolate. Now, in theory, these should go together well. They have a lot of flavor compounds in common. I think part of this is going to be balancing the quantities we try so that we get both flavors strongly. Smelling the onion, I smell freshness, I smell acridness, I smell a little bit of sweetness too. Now when we go to the chocolate, it's definitely not the same flavor profile that I'm smelling. It's hard to describe the smell of chocolate without saying chocolate. Rich, sweet, chocolatey. My nose is not excited about this, but let's try. I feel like that experience, I first got the flavor of the chocolate, and then there was almost like a moment where it felt like the flavors were melding, and then the acrid, bitter, sharp onion flavor cut through, and it was gone. There was no magic. Ultimately, with just the ingredients and no preparation, I don't think that one was a win for me. I don't really want to do a lot of work for this onion and chocolate combination because it wasn't that good. I'm going to take this large onion and roast it for starters. And then I think I'm going to cut it into kind of like wedges. This might be how you do like a blooming onion. I don't know. You can see I've had to surgically extract a bad spot, but other than that, we should be good. I'm just gonna take some oil and I'm gonna rub it into the onion, trying to get between all the layers and nooks and crannies. Oil and salt. And then we're just gonna roast it until it looks, I don't know, soft, golden, crispy. We'll see what we get. I have some mole sauce that my partner made like a week ago. He made like way too much for the 2 things of enchiladas he was making, but now we have it here, which is convenient. It's nice. It's not like blowing my mind. It's a good combination, onion and mole, but it's not like, wow, this is life-changing. And I think that chocolate and onion, just by themselves together, was not really a hit for me. The next one I'm gonna search is kumquat. I have a bunch of kumquats from Florida, so I'm always looking for new and interesting ways to use them. Let's see what pairs well with kumquats. Orange, lemon, passion fruit, ginger. None of these things really surprise me so far. It's mostly other fruits and ginger, which I've made a ginger and kumquat marmalade. Delicious. I can confirm that those do pair well. Oh, okay, so here we get sort of more interesting ones with coriander, celery, tomato. They all have 101 shared flavor molecules, and I'm tempted to go with tomato. Celery could be fun too, but I'm not sure what I would do with that other than make a salad. So let's go tomato. Tomato and kumquat. Smell test first. Bright, citrusy, a bit like a lemon, a bit like an orange, very fresh. Savory, also fresh, a little bit green. So I'll start with the fact that it is winter, and that is not a particularly good tomato. There's not a lot of flavor in it. It's kind of watery. So I think the experience might be hampered a bit by that. But I think that was nice. You got the first initial like mouth-puckering kumquat experience that sort of blinded out anything else. But once that sourness had dissipated a little bit, the savory tomato interplayed really nicely, I thought, with the kumquat. It does seem like you could make quite a nice salad with just tomatoes and kumquats together. I think that would be a pretty enjoyable experience. I'm trying to decide if I would rather have tomato and kumquat together than just tomato and just kumquat. I feel like maybe. I do think it enhances the flavor enough that maybe I would seek out that combination above just the pure ingredients, which ideally, of course, would be the goal. Let's try doing something else with it. I think a beautiful way to combine kumquats and tomatoes is gonna be in a soup. I've done this with rhubarb and tomato before, so I think it will be good, but we're just gonna keep it incredibly simple and start off by sauteing some onions and a can of tomatoes. We're also gonna add just 10 kumquats that I cut in half. Let's add a little salt and a little pepper. And then we'll just let it simmer until everything seems a bit softer. The kumquats have gotten a lot softer, so I'm just gonna blend it up. It smells like kumquat, but it looks like tomato. It also has entirely cooled down because I just spent like the last hour talking to my therapist about, you know, the world, our government, living in a constant state of anxiety. But I actually think it'll be just as good cold as it was hot, sort of a gazpacho situation. That is really nice. It hits bitter, it hits salty, it hits umami, it hits sweet, it hits sour. It's got almost all the flavors in there. And the tomato and the kumquat work really well together. Actually, it kind of makes me think you could make a pretty amazing kumquat and tomato ketchup. I have an idea though. Because we have salty, sour, sweet, umami, bitter, I kind of want to add some spicy too. I'm just gonna add a little bit of this homemade chili oil. That gives me so much joy. Initially, I liked the little crunch you got from the chili flakes and the shallots that are in my chili oil. It's added like just a really nice textural variation to the soup. But then, after you'd swallowed it, the flavor of the chili sort of came up and it mixed with the flavor of the kumquat. I know this is about like tomato and kumquat, but maybe it's chili and kumquat. Maybe it's tomato and chili and kumquat. I don't know. Either way, this is a good partnership. Shall we look for potatoes? Okie dokie, potato. First on the list is tea, and they have 181 shared flavor molecules. That's huge. We have to do that. Also, I want to show you this. It doesn't actually mean anything to me, but it shows the common names for all the different flavor compounds that they have in common and sort of what those flavor profiles are. So like they both have delta cadmium, which they describe as herbal, woody, thyme, wood, medicine, dry, tea, and potato. This is a green tea because that's what I had. It's not a very good quality green tea. By the way, you actually can eat potatoes raw. I don't think they taste that good, but you can, and I will. I don't want to cook it yet. I'll be cooking it later. I don't eat a lot of raw potato. I will say it's very like crunchy, and it has almost like a celery meets beet flavor. Not the sweetness of the beet, but like the earthiness of the beet. I don't know, that green flavor that celery has, it's almost a little bit like a combination of those two things. Hopefully this is cool enough to drink. It's not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Ready? Yeah, I think that was good. There was something, man, it's hard to describe. It's really hard to make a video describing exactly what foods taste like, man. The best way I can describe it is it almost felt like I was tasting the potato in a new way. Like I was tasting different things come to the surface. And it's hard for me to say like what it was that I was tasting, but it was different. It was very interesting. I'm excited to try a cooked potato pairing between these two. So I'm taking potatoes, I'm piercing them with a fork to make lots of little holes. My hope is this is gonna help the tea flavor to penetrate into the potato. Let's cover with some tea and an extra tea bag, and we'll just bring that to a simmer. Additionally, for some salt, I'm gonna add a splash of soy sauce. So it didn't come through super strongly, but you can see some of the veining from where we did the fork pricks. and some of the tea came into the potato. I'm gonna top this off with a little bit of smoked flaked sea salt. It needs just a bit more saltiness, and then, I mean, I think the smoky flavor should go really well with green tea, so let's see. You really get the tea flavor most in the potato skin, which makes sense because that's what was exposed to the tea the most. It's almost got like a bitterness on the outside. But then somehow I feel like the potatoes themselves kind of taste sweeter. Is it in contrast to the bitterness of the tea? Is it some interaction between the tea and the potatoes? Did I happen to just get sweet potatoes? I think that's really pleasant. If I were to make it again, I'd probably add a little bit more soy sauce. I didn't this time because I really wanted to be able to taste the tea over the soy sauce, and I stand by that decision, but I think as a dish overall, having a little bit more of a heavy soy sauce would serve it well. For our last one, I thought we could pair horseradish. I like the idea of doing that because it's such a pungent flavor. It might be kind of fun to see what pairs well with it. Cabbage, that makes sense. They're very commonly eaten, I think, together. Broccoli, radish, mustard. Mustard and horseradish, I feel like, have a lot in common. Canola oil. Who knew? I didn't know canola oil had much flavor of anything. Garden cress. Corn could be interesting. Oh, or fig or guava. I think I'm more likely to find figs, so we'll do figs. And the one that I think I might be the most excited for, we have figs and horseradish. As you can see, I was not able to find fresh figs. I think that happens a little bit earlier in the winter. But I have these freeze-dried figs, and I have some fig paste. I think between the two of those, we'll have a good representation of fig flavor. Sweet, caramelly. If you've ever had a fig before, you can almost like smell the seeds, like the seedy texture. I know that's weird, but like smelling it brings to mind that texture. In what should be a good contrast, sharp, acrid, grassy, bitter. Kind of like the onion a little bit, but entirely different. Oh, pickly, a little bit pickly. I'm gonna try very hard to get a good balance here. I think I'm gonna need a lot more fig for it to be able to stand up to the horseradish. Yeah, that works actually. The spice from the horseradish is almost enhanced by the sweetness of the fig. And while I'd say it is predominantly a sweet flavor, you definitely would eat this in a savory application. I don't know we really need to do a lot with this fig and horseradish combination. Some vegan cream cheese. Let's add our horseradish and mix it in. I've got these Swedish style flatbread cracker things, and I'm gonna start with some of our cream cheese horseradish mixture. Add a little of this fig spread. And we'll just top with some of these freeze-dried figs. Finally, just a little sprinkling of some dried shallots. Last but not least, we have our little horseradish fig rye bread cracker thing. Isn't that pretty? Imagine with fresh figs. So juicy and delicious. That is genuinely really good. The sweet with the creamy, with the kick from the horseradish. It's just a very, very pleasing bite. I think horseradish and fig is truly a win. If I had to rank from least favorite to favorite, we'd go chocolate and onion, least favorite. Tea and potato, good, but not really mind-blowing. Kumquat and tomato, delicious. Try a ketchup. Someone should try a ketchup doing that because I bet it's amazing. And then finally, fig and horseradish. It's just so good. I don't know, I really like that one. So what do you guys think? Also, let me know in the comments what some of your favorite unusual vegan food pairings are, because if I get enough of them, I would love to make a video entirely based off of that. Until next time, thanks for being here. Like this video, subscribe, and have a good one. Bye-bye. Also, maybe try and do something nice for someone today. We could all use a little bit more kindness in our lives.